Between life and death, there is a library that stretches infinitely in all directions, filled not with ordinary books, but with stories of lives that could have been. What if every decision you regretted was a doorway to another version of your life? One where you chose differently? What if you had a chance to try them all? Nora Seed, a 35-year-old woman drowning in regret, is about to find out. It starts on a rainy Wednesday. Nora's world is quietly collapsing. Her cat, Volts, dies. She loses her job at the music shop. Her neighbor no longer needs her piano lessons. Her brother doesn't talk to her, and her sense of purpose, gone. She writes a note, swallows pills, darkness. But she doesn't die. She wakes up in a place that exists between life and death, the Midnight Library. A place filled with endless rows of green-covered books, each one containing a version of her life. A familiar figure greets her, Mrs. Elm, her old school librarian, now the keeper of this mystical space. Mrs. Elm explains the rules. There's the Book of Regrets, heavy, painful, filled with everything Nora wishes she'd done differently. And there are the infinite books of unlived lives. Every regret, every tiny change leads to a different version of Nora. All she has to do is choose. Nora's first instinct is to erase the regret of letting down her brother. She selects the life where she stayed in the band, the labyrinths, and followed her dream of becoming a rock star. In this life, she's famous, touring the world, but it's hollow. Her brother Joe is not happy. He's addicted. She thought fame would bring joy, but it didn't bring peace. She returns to the library. Mrs. Elm tells her, disappointment lives in all lives. Next, Nora tries a life where she said yes to marrying Dan, the man she once left 2 days before the wedding. In that world, they run a country pub. It looks idyllic. But Dan drinks too much. He flirts with others. The dream fades fast. Back in the library, Nora grows bolder. She tests more possibilities. The Olympic swimmer life. She had once trained hard, but quit before competition. In this version, she wins medals. She's disciplined, fit, but emotionally disconnected. There's no room for vulnerability. What about the life where she never left Australia? She meets old friends there, tries living among nature and waves, but still feels a hole inside her. With each life, she learns something new, not just about who she could have been, but about who she truly is.
Then comes a surprise.
In one life, she becomes a glaciologist, living in the Arctic, studying climate change. Here, she meets Hugo, another slider, someone who also experiences the multiverse. He too travels between lives, never quite staying, never quite satisfied. He tells her that the library is different for each person. His is a video store. He's been doing this for years, and yet he still hasn't found his perfect life. This makes Nora pause. Is there even such a thing? She slides into a life where she became a philosophy professor. She'd once loved philosophy in college. In this life, she teaches, lives alone, and publishes thoughtful essays. It's peaceful, but she misses connection. She yearns for something more. In another life, she never gave up on animal welfare. She saves a polar bear, feels heroic. But fame again comes at a price. Loneliness persists. She tries parenting. In one life, she has a daughter. The love is deep, overwhelming. But the guilt of not being there in her root life for this child is unbearable. She's pulled back. Each book closes with a hard truth. No life is perfect. Every path holds shadows. Then comes a turning point. She chooses a life where she rekindled her relationship with her brother. A simple life, working in a music shop, playing gigs, surrounded by friends, content. It feels right. For the first time, she doesn't want to leave. She wants to live this one fully, but the library begins to shake. because the library only exists as long as she's between life and death, and now her desire to live is pulling her out. The walls crumble. Mrs. Elm urges her to go, to wake up. She returns to the root life, in her own body, gasping for air, alive. Nora wakes in her small, ordinary flat. Nothing has changed, but everything has. She carries all the wisdom, all the clarity from her journey. The regrets don't control her anymore. She visits her neighbor, reaches out to her brother, starts volunteering, teaches again, lives again. The Midnight Library didn't give her a perfect life. It reminded her that every life has potential, and the life she has, this one, messy, imperfect, real, is enough. Before the overdose, Nora Seed believed her life was over, but now, back from the edge, she's realizing it has just begun. In her original world, everything still seems small. Her flat is still dark, the fridge still empty, but now she sees possibility in places she once saw nothing, because in the library she had lived, truly lived, dozens of lives, some glamorous, some tragic, some mundane, all teaching her that regrets are not doors to perfection, but mirrors showing what she values most. She remembers the life where she kept vaults inside. Her beloved cat didn't die there, but she also learned in another life that his death wasn't her fault. Vaults had a heart condition. She carried guilt unnecessarily. That truth frees her. She walks to the music store where she once worked and quit. The manager is surprised to see her. She smiles and asks if they're hiring again. It's not about the job. It's about reconnecting with the people she left behind, even in the smallest ways. Nora recalls the life where she worked at a coffee shop and wrote philosophy articles on the side. She had feared mediocrity in that world, but now she sees dignity in a simple life, depth in every ordinary moment. Each chapter of the novel becomes a layer peeled back, exposing the illusions we carry. She revisits her friendship with Izzy, the one who moved to Australia and drifted away. In one life, Nora had gone with her. It wasn't what she hoped. It taught her that following others doesn't guarantee peace. Now she thinks, maybe it's not about running, but rooting. There's a chapter where Nora lives alone in a countryside cottage, gardening, reading, surrounded by nature. At first, it feels serene, but isolation is not peace. It's escape. She begins to realize that connection to others, to purpose, to self is what she truly seeks. One of the most pivotal chapters is the polar bear rescue. In that life, Nora becomes an environmental hero, celebrated worldwide for saving endangered species. The adrenaline rush, the interviews, the recognition, all of it feel meaningful at first. But soon, the strain wears her down. She is lonely again, and worse, her courage in that life came not from passion, but from avoiding her pain. The Midnight Library does not offer fantasy, it offers reflection. In a haunting chapter, Nora tries a life where her mother never died, a world where they reconciled, but even here, the tension is real. Her mother is still judgmental. The wounds didn't vanish, they evolved. She learns that unresolved trauma travels, even across timelines. One of the gentler chapters gives Nora a glimpse of parenthood. She had always assumed she didn't want children, but in that life, she has a daughter. The love is immediate, fierce, terrifying. She sings lullabies, packs lunch, listens to little stories. It fills her with meaning, but it also fills her with pain, because she knows she must leave this life too. The child will vanish. That ache stays with her. Later, she reflects on the swimming life, the one where she became an Olympian. Her father had wanted that for her. He pushed hard, believing she could be great. In that version, he's proud, but also controlling. She is distant from her brother. She is famous, but brittle. She realizes she never truly wanted the medals. She wanted love. Through all these lives, a few patterns emerge. The most joyful moments are not the grand ones, but the quiet ones. Playing music with friends, laughing over dinner, a walk with a sibling, a good book, a calm night, a shared silence. Nora's regrets begin to fade. They're not gone, but no longer heavy. They have been inspected. She has made peace with the fact that she was always doing her best with what she knew at the time. The library starts to react to her mindset. It flickers. Books vanish. Mrs. Elm warns her, the stronger your desire to live, the weaker this space becomes. This in-between place cannot exist if she has chosen life. And she has. In one of the final chapters, Nora is thrust into a timeline where she became a motivational speaker. She gives talks about overcoming regret. In this life, she is admired. But the irony strikes her. She only found those insights because she nearly died. The truth doesn't come from pretending everything is fine. It comes from confronting pain honestly. In another alternate path, she stays with her first love. They live quietly, but the connection fades. Comfort is not the same as happiness. She realizes the importance of evolving, even if it means letting go. Nora's most beautiful realization comes when she stops searching for the perfect life and starts asking, what can I give to this life? She had spent years believing she failed her family, her career, her dreams. But now she knows. Meaning is not found in grand achievements, but in how present we are to our own moments. She thanks Mrs. Elm. The real Mrs. Elm, her school librarian, had once let her play chess and hide in books when the world outside was too loud. And now, this ethereal version has done the same in death's shadow. The final collapse of the library is vivid. The books burn away, the shelves fall, the roof caves. Nora stands in the rubble, holding her root life's book, her own life, and whispers, I want to live.
She gasps awake.
On the floor, pills around her. But not too late. She calls an ambulance, gets help. Back in the real world, things are not magically fixed, but they are real. She starts volunteering at a shelter, apologizes to those she hurt, rebuilds bridges, sits with her neighbor, listens, smiles at strangers, writes, sings again. Nora begins journaling, not about regrets, but about joys, small joys, a warm drink, a friend's voice, a morning walk. Every chapter of her new life becomes a choice, not to be perfect, but to be present. Nora Seed, once weighed down by all the lives she didn't live, now carries something different, clarity. Each life she stepped into was not a fantasy but a mirror that showed her what she feared, what she longed for, and most importantly, what she already had the capacity to become. She begins to find meaning in things she used to overlook. She starts her mornings differently, slower, more conscious. She feeds herself better, not out of punishment, but care. She revisits the piano, playing not to prove herself, but simply for the love of sound. People begin to notice, not because she's louder or more impressive, but because her presence has shifted. She's more rooted, open, kind, curious. She meets Joe again, her brother, the one she had grown distant from. At a gig, they talk. At first it's awkward, but Nora no longer expects perfection. She simply listens. She shares how much she missed him. Joe, surprised and softened, opens up too. That one moment of honesty repairs years of silence. The change is not loud, it's quiet and continuous. And that's the lesson. Growth rarely announces itself with trumpets. It's in choosing to stay, choosing to show up, choosing to forgive, not because others deserve it, but because you deserve peace. In her journal, she writes, I do not need a perfect life. I need a meaningful one. And meaning is something I get to create. Her friendship with Ravi, once strained by career jealousy, begins to heal. She sends him a message congratulating him on his success, genuinely. They meet for coffee, laugh about their teenage dreams. They talk about music again, not as competition, but as shared joy. Nora even begins teaching part-time, not as a fallback, but as an active contribution. She helps a young girl struggling with anxiety. In that child, she sees a reflection of herself at 13, confused, overwhelmed, longing for guidance. This time, Nora offers what she wished someone had offered her: belief. There's one more thread that quietly weaves itself back into Nora's life: love. Not dramatic, not fast, just presence. A man she meets through her volunteer work. They talk books, philosophy, music. He has no idea what she's been through, but he listens. They walk slowly, share silence. There's no rush to define anything, and that, she learns, is also love. A safe space to just be. As the days pass, Nora sometimes still thinks of the library, not with longing, but with gratitude. It wasn't a place to escape life, it was a place to understand it. She reflects on some of the hardest truths it taught her: that no version of life is without sadness, that pain travels across timelines, that regrets are clues, not punishments, that happiness is not found, it is made, that our ordinary life, the one we often reject, holds more magic than we see, and most profoundly that the real power lies in choice, the choice to begin again, to try, to stay, to hope, to care even after heartbreak. The closing moments of her story are quiet, no climactic twist, just a woman, once broken, now whole, sitting on a park bench, notebook in lap, writing, smiling faintly, watching the world move and choosing to be part of it. The lives she didn't live no longer haunt her. They inform her. They remind her that while she cannot live them all, she can live this one fully. And that is enough. Nora's journey through the Midnight Library wasn't just about trying on new lives, it was about shedding old illusions. She had always believed that she failed at everything, that she let everyone down, that she didn't follow through, didn't become who she was meant to be. But in trying out those other paths, she discovered a truth even deeper than success or failure. There is no perfect life, only a life that feels honest. One chapter revisits the concept of the Book of Regrets, the painful, heavy tome she saw at the start of her time in the library. When she first opened it, it felt endless, page after page of what-ifs. Missed chances, failed relationships, broken promises. But now, that book seems lighter. The weight hasn't disappeared, she has simply stopped carrying it. Mrs. Elm had once told her, "The only way to learn is to live." Nora finally understands that. No theory, no plan, no amount of imagining can substitute for the messiness, uncertainty, and beauty of real life. She starts living her days with more curiosity. She doesn't wake up dreading the hours ahead. She wonders what the day might offer. A stranger's smile, a new book, a walk in the rain. Even bad days become meaningful because they're part of a larger rhythm. Ups and downs no longer define her. Her choices do. She helps her neighbor more often now. Mr. Banerjee, a retired professor with arthritis, they sit and play chess. They talk about the universe. He doesn't know her story, but he tells her that she seems lighter now. Nora smiles. "I think I am." In moments of quiet, she sometimes thinks of the lives where she had more money, fame, family. But she also remembers the emptiness in many of them, the constant hunger for something more. She no longer envies those lives. Instead, she honors them for what they taught her. She begins volunteering with mental health groups, talking to people who feel the way she once felt. She doesn't give them advice. She tells them a story about a woman who thought she wanted to die, only to discover she'd never truly tried to live. That story lands differently, because it's not a lecture. It's real. The most powerful transformation is subtle. Nora stops waiting. She no longer waits to feel ready, to feel healed, to have it all figured out. She simply shows up. One morning she wakes early, before sunrise. She walks outside. The city is still sleeping. The air is quiet. A single bird chirps. And she thinks, this is it. This is life. Not some grand climax. Just this moment, fully lived.
She takes out her phone.
Opens the Notes app and writes. No matter how many lives exist in theory, the only one that matters is the one you're living now. Make it count. There's a chapter where she finds the courage to visit her old school. She sees young students walking in the halls. She finds the library. It looks different now. Newer shelves, brighter lights, but the feeling is the same. A place of possibility. The librarian is a new woman, kind, warm. Nora introduces herself. She asks if they're hiring volunteers. They are. She smiles. Before she leaves, she writes a note and tucks it between the pages of a book on the shelf. It reads, "To the next lost soul, it's not too late. You're not broken. You're becoming." This small act feels huge, because for so long, Nora believed she had nothing to give. Now she knows she has something no one else does. Her story. Not the clean, polished version, the real one. With pain, with struggle, with resilience. And that is the story she will keep telling.